Now, from CBS 4 News, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Good morning. I'm Jim DeFede, and welcome to Facing South Florida. Well, 2021 is off to a heck of a start. In a few minutes, we will get to the insurrection at the Capitol with Congressman Ted Deutsch. But we begin with the failure to roll out the COVID vaccine. It is now obvious the federal government was not prepared to distribute the vaccine. In Florida, scheduling websites have crashed. We've seen seniors waiting overnight in lines, only to be turned away, and a general state of chaos has ensued. On Friday, I spoke to Jared Moskowitz, the Florida Director of Emergency Management, who is overseeing the state's distribution.
So are you satisfied with the rollout of the vaccine so far?
No, Jim, I'm as frustrated as everybody else, but I want to be clear. This is a supply problem. It's not a distribution problem. The reason why there are not enough sites open, which is why these sites are getting overwhelmed with people, phone numbers, online systems, is because we can't open up more sites because we don't have enough vaccine.
Well, wait a second. But when we were talking earlier, you said you've got about 1.2, 1.3 million doses, and you've only given out about a third of those. So it's not a supply problem in that sense. You've got more vaccine ready to go into arms than you're actually putting into arms.
Yeah, I understand how you're phrasing it, but the truth of the matter is that we have about 200,000 vaccines that come off the top for the long-term care program in order to turn on the long-term care program with the federal government. So 200,000 right off the top. Then we have 400 hospitals, obviously, that have vaccine. So when we say there's hundreds of thousands of doses in hospitals, when you separate it out by 400, it turns out that there's only 1,000 here, 2,000 there, 3,000 there, and they're getting those out. It's why the governor instructed me to go out and hire 1,000 nurses to increase throughput, and we've seen that happen. We did 60,000 shots. Yesterday was our #1 day. We're increasing. We're third in the nation in shots and arms. So at the end of the day, it's getting better, but we do have a supply problem in the 65 and older community where we're opening up pods, whether it's a county pod, a hospital pod, or a state pod. Thousands of people are trying to descend on sites where we only have enough vaccine to feed that site for 500 a day or 1,000 a day. I got 500,000 doses in week 2. In week 3, I got 50% less. And the federal government is only giving us a 7-day look ahead. So people are like, where's the long-range planning? How can you plan when you're only being told what you're getting 7 days ahead? That is a failure of the Operation Warp Speed system.
Well, let's talk about the state system, because it seems to me, in talking to hospital executives, that one of the critical mistakes that the state may have made was relying on hospitals as the form of distribution, as the point of distribution. Why wasn't the National Guard called out? Why aren't we seeing mass sites, mass vaccination sites set up by the military, at the Hard Rock Stadium, where you could do large throughput of people? Because doing this where you're vaccinating, 700 people at Mount Sinai, 1,000 people, a day at Jackson Memorial Hospital, so many at Broward Health, from just the math that I was working out with one of the hospital executives, it's going to be 300-400 days at that rate. You need more infrastructure. Why wasn't that foreseen? You knew this was coming. Why not see it?
I hear what you're saying. Okay, we built the infrastructure. We have the infrastructure. We just don't have enough vaccine. And so hospitals and counties don't want to open up pods and then close them, because they're saying, you're only giving me enough vaccine for 5 or 6 days. When am I getting the rest? Well, the answer is I don't know, because I only get 7 days ahead. It's not that relying on hospitals was a mistake. First of all, the CDC under 1A, right? Everyone wants us to follow the CDC. The CDC said put all of this in the hospitals because we have to do frontline healthcare workers. In fact, in the first week, we were only allowed to send it to 5 hospitals in the entire state, if you remember. Every state in the nation sent it to hospitals. Governor Cuomo came out and is fining hospitals for not getting the vaccine out. So this is not a Florida plan. This was a national plan to put it into hospitals, okay? Also, people with severe comorbidities who need this vaccine, that can only be given in a hospital because they have to be monitored in a medical setting. So look, I opened up 80, 90 testing sites. We know how to build infrastructure. We know how to do this. We've done it in the minority community, in disadvantaged communities. But at the end of the day, the military is not the solution. We don't have a military in this state. The National Guard doesn't do shots. They can stick a swab up your nose, but they're not medical professionals. They can't give you a shot. So if another politician asks for the National Guard, hear me now, the National Guard cannot vaccinate. They can do logistics.
You could supplement the National Guard with those nurses that you're hiring.
Yeah,
you can have the
Jim, we've
National
done that.
Guard be
No, Jim,
organizationally.
hold on, we've done that.
You're sending those, but where are you sending those nurses? Are you sending them to hospitals, or are you sending them to large sites that you're going to now create?
900 nurses are already out. They're already out at county health departments. They're already at hospitals. They're already at the state site. They are gone. They're already out. I did it in 3 days. The National Guard, already out, already there. They're doing logistics. Every county that has requested the National Guard, you know how that comes into my WebEOC system, just like it did since March, just like it did in every hurricane. They request it, I grant it. So the National Guard is out there and doing logistics. They're doing traffic flow. They're running sites, but they can't increase throughput. Only the medical professionals, nurses, can increase throughput, which is why I've put them out there.
It's funny. I mean, I just did a quick look before I got on the call with you. In 2019, UNICEF gave out, I think it was 130 million shots to children in poor countries. I mean, do we need to bring UNICEF in or outside groups like the World Health Organization to vaccinate? I mean, it doesn't seem like we're reinventing the wheel here. If I can go into a small third world country and vaccinate the children there for smallpox and measles, why can't we, in the richest country in the world, do it for our citizens?
That's a great question. You're going to have to ask the federal government that question. I thought they spent billions of dollars buying all this vaccine and it was going to be on the shelf ready to deploy. That clearly did not happen, right? I'm getting 250,000 vaccines a week for the whole state. Okay, I got 4 million seniors and I'm getting 250,000 vaccines a week. It is a supply issue. It is not a distribution issue.
At the rate that it's going, how long will it take to vaccinate the people in the state of Florida?
I mean, look, Dr. Fauci has told everyone this is going to take a year. He's been telling everybody this for months because he has obviously the information. That's unacceptable for me, by the way. As cases are going up, as people are going to wind up in hospitals, as families are going to lose loved ones, as families are not going to be able to visit folks in the hospitals because of all the COVID procedures. We know the new variant is everywhere. I'm really worried and frustrated about what's going on with the vaccine. But let's be clear. I don't produce the vaccine. I distribute the vaccine. If they give us what we need, we will give it out. We're doing 200,000 tests a day here. We know how to build infrastructure. We know how to serve the customer. But the problem is, this is just like when testing began. When there weren't enough COVID tests and there weren't enough swabs, this is what was happening. People couldn't get tested. Lines were 8 hours long. Systems were failing. So we've gone through this. And as long as they increase supply and send it down, I could turn on every pharmacy in the state, CVS, Walgreens, Publix, Walmart. I'm ready to turn all those on. I could only turn on 20 in the whole state because we don't have enough vaccine.
Former Governor Rick Scott, Senator Rick Scott, has called for an investigation into the state's distribution, in part because of various reports that some of the vaccine is being given to hospital donors or family members who own nursing home facilities. That, in other words, there's an insider system to sort of jump the line and get vaccinated. What's your response to the senator calling for an investigation?
Well, I think the senator calling for an investigation is the right thing to do. The governor has also launched an investigation as well. The only misnomer is what happened to that nursing home was done under the federal contract with the federal contractor with zero state involvement. So the one that we've been reading about in the national news, that is a federal contract with a federal contractor. So
where family members went to that, the family members who own that nursing home jumped the line and were getting vaccinated themselves.
Correct. So that's a long-term care facility being done under the federal long-term care program with a federal contractor, with a contract that I'm not even a party to. So as part of the investigation, hopefully the federal government will look into their own federal contract.
That was up in Palm Beach. Let me ask you about something more statewide. One of the things that you do have control over is the state prison system. I understand some people may be angered by the thought that we have to take care of prisoners and that prisoners need to be vaccinated, but there are about almost 10,000 prisoners in the state of Florida under state control who are 65 and older. Should they be receiving the vaccine along with those in nursing homes and the other and older folks across the country or across the state?
Yeah, look, there's got to be equitable distribution of the vaccine, Jim. I mean, I'm opening up 10 churches in Hispanic and African American areas this weekend because obviously we got to get over vaccine hesitancy. We need people on the ground that trust them, but we got to make sure we have equitable distribution, and that would include obviously our prison system for people who qualify over 65 and older. Quite frankly, it would also include, in my opinion, people who are in our food service industry. These are people who help, are out there helping put food on our table. But again, there's just not enough supply. I can't turn on additional groups without vaccine. And so I know I keep harping on that. I keep going back to it. Look, I'd love to get to teachers. I'd love to get to police officers, okay, which, by the way, were not prioritized by the CDC either, okay? But I don't have enough vaccine in order to get to the next groups. We got to get to 65 and older right. Seniors in this state should be happy. We're one of 2 states that prioritized our greatest generation, people who served in wars. And in that 65 and older group, 80% of our deaths are in the 65 and older group. So we made the right decision here. We just don't have enough vaccine to serve them all.
We'll be right back to discuss the violent insurrection at the Capitol with Congressman Ted Deutsch. Stay with us.